all lined up. And all of a sudden, instead of not being sure how you're going to afford a trip to Taco Bell, now you can buy the Taco Bell. Not that you'd want to own a Taco Bell, but nevertheless. So what would you do if all of a sudden, or maybe even over time, you knew that this money was going to be yours? The story of Georgia-Cumberland Academy has that concept, that question in it. Because in the early 1900s, over 100 years ago, a lady living on the West Coast in California came into a lot of money through an inheritance. Someone died, she inherited the money. And so the question was, what am I going to do with that money? And so what she chose to do, after praying about it and getting input from other people, she started to think about the fact that this church to which she was a member, the Seventh-day Adventist Church, was growing in the early 1900s, and the Seventh-day Adventist Church was opening hospitals and schools. And she wanted to be a part of that. And so, living not too far from her house was a lady that she had met, Ellen White. And so she wrote to Ellen White and asked her, what do I do with this money? And what about the idea of opening a school, opening a hospital? And Ellen White wrote back and said, yeah, good idea, but not in California. Go to the South, to the southern United States. That's where the need is greatest. And so Emmeline Hurlbut and her husband came here and bought 500 acres on this land for the purpose of establishing a school and a hospital. And that's what they did. A small school was built and a hospital was built. The hospital sat right on the hill across the street from this church, behind the principal's house, right up in that area. That's where there was a hospital, a small hospital. And down near Coble Elementary, there was an elementary school built. And they farmed this land, and it was those two strong women who helped establish what would become Georgia-Cumberland Academy. Now, in the 1940s, after Mrs. Hurlbut had passed away and the school was struggling to stay open, another individual stepped forward, and her name was Lida Scott. Lida Scott stepped forward, and she bought this place, and she kept it going, and she did so by pouring in her own personal money to keep the academy and to keep the hospital going. That all started to wind down in the 1950s when the Georgia-Cumberland Conference decided we need to build a boarding academy. And so they then stepped in and bought this same land, and in 1965, they opened the doors to Georgia-Cumberland Academy. And it all started, though, with those three women who God used to establish a school on this property. And we wouldn't be here in this church today if it weren't for them. So we owe them gratitude for their dedication to God. Two of those women had a lot of money, and they chose to invest it in young people. Today, a lot of people across the United States have invested in you being here today. Whether you got money directly from student aid or whether you're just one of the students who are here. Either way, this place doesn't operate without people giving money because they think what happens here is important. This school is not affiliated with the Seventh-day Adventist Church, in other words, related to the Seventh-day Adventist Church. This school is owned and operated by the Seventh-day Adventist churches of the Georgia-Cumberland Conference. So it is a church-owned and operated school. And it's important and fitting that we meet here today in this church, because this is what we are all about. This is the center, the core of what it means to be a student at Georgia-Cumberland Academy. Now, if you were a student here last year or for the last 2 or 3 years, however long, you should be able to do what I'm about to ask. If someone were to say, what is the aim, the motto of GCA, in its shortest form, 3 little brief phrases. Those 3 phrases are, to know. Thank you. Very good. You pass. First day, pass. To know, to love, to serve. Let me give you the longer version. The longer version is to know Jesus as Savior and friend. That's first. As a result of knowing Jesus as Savior and friend, then the second, we come to love God and the people that He brings into our lives. And that, through that process of coming to know Jesus, falling in love with Him and with God the Father, then we are transformed by the Holy Spirit. And so then the last part comes in to serve the church and the people in our society. So that's why GCA exists. And if you are going to have a great year at GCA, then you need to understand the mission of this school. And to the extent possible, for you to come into harmony with the mission of this school. To know Jesus as Savior and friend, to love God and the people that He brings into our lives, and to serve the needs of the church and society. So what do you do to be successful at GCA? First, seek God. That does not mean that you've got it all wrapped up and figured out. You may have a lot more questions than you do answers. But what it does mean is that the first thing you're going to do is that you're going to be open to the idea that God has a purpose for your life, and that purpose is something far bigger than just working and accumulating money and buying junk and dying. That your life has real purpose, and that God is calling you to do something with your life. That's first. Second is you're going to treat each other with respect. If we're going to be successful here as a school family, we all have to treat each other with respect. How do you treat each other with respect? Well, you practice kindness. When Jesus was talking to His disciples and He said he was about to go to the cross and die, and He told them, look, people are going to know whether or not you're my followers based upon the extent to which you love each other. That's how they'll know. They won't know in any other way. They'll know simply because you demonstrate what it means to treat each other with love. And love and respect go hand in hand. So we're going to need this year to treat each other with respect. That means that this is a place where we will not tolerate bullying or threats or harassment or bigoted actions or language. They have no place on this campus. Now, all of us come to this campus with our own biases and our own backgrounds and our own stuff, the baggage that we carry through life. But throughout this year, we're going to be looking for God to transform us so that we can treat each other with respect. And I hope that you'll be open to that. Third thing you need to do to be successful is you need to know what the rules are and you need to follow them. That's true in any organization. Every organization has rules. Every organization has policies. When I get in my car and I drive down I-75, I try not to speed too much. Why do I try not to speed too much? Well, you could say it's for safety reasons, but that's not the first reason in my mind. The first reason in my mind is because I've gotten tickets before, and I've had to pay the price. And it's not just the ticket, but your insurance costs go up after that. So you just kind of keep paying. That's society's way of saying, look, if you're too stupid to know how to drive intelligently for your own safety's sake, then we'll come up with other reasons, like a ticket. okay? And this little microcosm of society is no different. We've got rules and regulations. If you follow them, everything will be great. If you don't, then things get difficult. So know what the rules are and follow them. There are certain things here, Mr. Garapi will mention them in a minute. If you do them, you'll actually leave here immediately. We don't want that to happen. We want you to be here, but those rules are not negotiable. So we ask for you to be a part of following those and following them carefully. What else does it mean to treat each other with respect? It means that anytime you're in a room like this and someone up front is talking, you don't. Somebody up front talking, you shut your mouth. That's what it means. That's real blunt the way I just said it. I said it that way on purpose. There's 300 of us. All the sideways conversations happen whenever you're in church or in chapel or in a classroom, and it's showing disrespect to each other and to the people that are up front trying to say or do something. So that's also what it means to show respect. Now, there's a few things that are going to be different this year, and you need to listen carefully for those. If you were here last year, then you might recognize some of those differences that are coming. All of you have one of these things, an ID card of some sort. It's going to be important to have that this year because we're going to be using these increasingly. You might hear more about that coming up. So you're going to have these this year for work purposes and for cafeteria and all kinds of other things. So make sure that you have one and that you keep track of it and that you treat it the way it needs to be treated so you know where it is because you're going to have it. In the past, sometimes it's been optional, but it's not going to be going forward. There's some other shifts and some things that we're going to be doing differently. Last year at this time, in my comments that I had here in my iPad, I talked about distancing and wearing masks. And Mrs. Self, our school nurse, is going to talk to you in a few minutes about how we're going to stay healthy. But let me just throw this out to you from an administrative standpoint, not from the school nurse or from a health standard, but just from an administrative standpoint. We're off to a great start, and I want to stay on this campus. But recently, the numbers of COVID infections have jumped way up. Last week, I listened to the hospital president here in Calhoun, and he talked about the fact that a week before, there had been 2 people in the hospital with COVID. And last week, 1 week later, there were 23 in the hospital with COVID. Still not a big number, but that's not a large hospital. And when the numbers start to grow like that, it means the infection rate is growing. And the variant that's going around right now is far more communicable, far more dangerous than the one that was here a year ago. So it's important that all of us are safe with each other. There's going to be times when it's a good idea to wear a mask. I've been vaccinated, but I'm still going to put this on in large gatherings when I'm close to people because I don't want to get it and I don't want to carry it, and if I have it, I don't want to give it to other people. In reality, as a teenager, if you get COVID, and some of you have had it, then statistically, you're probably going to get over it without too much difficulty. But you may very well give it to somebody else for whom that will not be true. This last spring, my cousin, who was 70 years old, died from COVID. And all of you have probably known people who've been affected by this virus. It's a dangerous virus. And I speak now for myself, but also for the administrators and the vast majority of people who work here at GCA when I say this. The vaccine is safe, the vaccine is effective, and you all need to have it. There's a few in this place that probably your physician would say no, for whatever health reason you have, you shouldn't have the shot, but that is not true for the vast majority of you. So I urge you to be vaccinated. When you're vaccinated, it protects you, but it also protects other people. So it isn't just a selfish thing. It is actually less selfish to get the vaccine than to not get the vaccine. So I urge you to be vaccinated because I'm here to tell you that if the numbers start to go up, then these will go on. all the time we're indoors. And we'll start distancing. And if the numbers keep going up, you will all go home. That is a promise, because I can't put people's lives at risk. So we need to be careful, and we need to do the very best we can to help each other stay healthy. Again, I am glad you're here, and will continue to be praying that this is a great school year, and that everyone has a great experience throughout this year. So I will turn to Mrs. Self, our school nurse, and she can talk to you about some of the specifics this year.
Hello. Hello. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Mrs. Self, the school nurse here. I'm on campus Monday through Thursdays from 7:45 to about 2:30, and then on Fridays 7:45 to 2. My office is outside classroom 5 through 8. I just wanted to go real quickly over the sick list policy and procedure. So if you're a village student and you don't feel well, do have your parent or guardian call the office and let us know that you're not feeling well. Don't go to school, and then we'll put you on sick list, and we'll make arrangements for you to be able to do classes online if you feel well enough. If you're a dorm student, don't feel well, please put your mask on and notify the dean. The dean will then arrange for you to come see me, and then if you are sick and can't go to class, I'll put you on sick list, and then if you're well enough to do classes online, you can do classes online. So in other words, don't put yourself on sick list, have an adult call and talk to me. If you are exposed to a person with COVID or you're diagnosed with COVID, please notify me and I'll give you instructions on what to do and when to get tested. Does anyone have questions about being vaccinated and quarantining versus not vaccinated and quarantining? So if you're fully vaccinated, and that means that you've had both shots and it's been 2 weeks. Hello. Okay. So you've got both shots and it's 2 weeks after your second shot. That means that you have been fully vaccinated. And if you are fully vaccinated and have been exposed to someone with COVID, you do not have to quarantine. You can still go to school as long as you don't have any symptoms. And then what you do is we'll ask you to put a mask on, look out for symptoms, but then get tested about 3 days later. And if it's negative, you can take your mask off and you don't have to be in quarantine. If you are not vaccinated, and you get exposed to someone with COVID, you do have to go home and quarantine and then get tested. Questions? If you get injured on campus or on a school activity, please notify any adult. It can be any staff member with GCAS. Do notify us with any minor or major injuries. If you have an appointment with me and you miss that appointment and there's multiple missed appointments without you notifying me, that does call for a write-up. So I do really would appreciate you respecting my time. If you do have an appointment with me, do come in, and if you can't, notify me of that. Some of you have not completed your health profile in School Doc, so I do urge you to please do that. If you are vaccinated from COVID, then do upload that card so that I know, because if you do get exposed, then you don't have to quarantine. I know what instructions to give you. You do have until September 20th to complete that health profile. I just want to remind you, don't forget, wash your hands. Please wash your hands. Get plenty of rest. Don't skip meals. Make sure you eat a healthy meal, no sugar. If you can, exercise, and don't forget to stop by and say hi to me.
Good afternoon, everybody. All right. My team and I are very excited that we are back to self-serve, and we are glad to offer a lot of options to you, but we're asking that you do a few things. The first and foremost is use a hand sanitizer that is virtually almost everywhere in the cafeteria, by the serving lines on the wall, stanchions all over the place. So if you see a hand sanitizer, please make sure to use it before you go through line. We ask that your considering other people and take your food in moderation. You can always come back for seconds. If you're not sure if you're going to like it, even if you think you're really going to like it, start small and come back so there's not a lot of waste. Make sure to pay attention to the signs. If we put limit 1 or limit 2, please respect that. You can come back after you finish if you're still hungry. The lines move a lot faster. If you all remember last year, it took a while for us to serve. So we appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for working with us. Make sure to pay attention to all the signs of serving times. Takeout trays are for taking out of the cafeteria, not for getting a takeout tray and then sitting in the dining room. Village students, please make sure to see the cashier. Don't try to sneak through. There's some checker sitting right there. That's possibly going to change. We might have you swipe your cards at some point, but for now, just see the checker sitting between the 2 lines by the drinking fountain. And we just ask for patience and understanding as we will try to offer it to you as well. We can't grow if we don't know what we need to grow in. So please communicate with me. I will do my best to listen and just ask that you do the same. And thank you so much and hope we have a great year. God bless.
Thank you. Okay. For those of you that don't know, I am Mr. Larson. I am the work coordinator. So I'm going to be going over some work stuff with you today. I am going to reiterate what Dr. Gerard said. Your ID needs to go everywhere with you. In the past, people that don't clock in every day, some people would go a month without clocking in and out for work. That will stop. You must have your ID with you. Don't go to work without it, please. Part of your responsibility in your job is clocking in and out. So you need to be able to do that. We do have some new write-ups in GCA Connect for that reason. People will be missing out either taking a break from work, which is not a benefit to you and your family. If you live in the dorm, you could miss rec, town trips, different things like that. So please make it a priority. If you do get fired from your job for being a repeat offender, that will affect your financial plan, and that will, whoever's paying your bill, whether it's a family member, your parents, whoever it might be, that burden is going to fall on them, so don't do that. For clocking in and out, there are multiple clock-in stations around campus. There's a bigger black box, but there's a little black box below it. Kind of looks like this. That is where you are going to scan your card for those of you that are new. When you meet with your supervisor at 3:30, they can show you the closest one. Please clock in at the closest one. If you work up here, don't clock in the dorm and then walk all the way up here. Clock in. There is one in the science building. There's one outside the library, one outside the business office, each dorm, grounds building, and the front desk in the wellness center. So try to clock in closest to where you are assigned to work. If you do lose or break your card, and this is where some people have trouble, they just don't want to spend the money to buy a new one. If you break it or you lose it, you go buy a new one right away. Please don't wait. Try not to let people borrow your cards, because if they break it, you're still responsible for getting a new one so you can clock in for work. So try not to do that. For those of you that do start the year and can't seem to remember to clock in and clock out, we give you a little grace. My worker, Mia, she helps me keep all those straight. If you do forget to clock in or out and you need to tell me, don't catch me in the hall and say, hey, Mr. Larson, I forgot to clock out, I forgot to clock in. Send me an email. One, because I'm going to keep record of it for those write-ups. And two, I don't want to forget by the time I walk back to my office. So make sure you're emailing me. Don't tell me in the hallways. For those that are 13, and we have a few of you, you can't work, so don't clock in, don't try to do any kind of work anywhere on campus. When you do turn 14, you can start working. For those that are 14 and 15, you can work on school days between the hours of 3:30 p.m. and 7 p.m. And on non-school days, like weekends, if you work on the weekend, between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., but you can still only work 3 hours a day. So if you ever have any questions about that, please let me know. But there are limits. For work, please dress appropriately. If you work grounds, maintenance, CAF, anything that might involve working with, I don't know, outdoors or dropping a knife on your foot or something, please don't wear flip-flops to work. If it's not appropriate, don't do it. Ask your supervisor if they have something in particular they want you to wear. If you do have any issues at work, please come see me. Most of you know where my office is, but I am down in the business office. Come see me anytime. Every quarter we do evaluations for your job. Your direct supervisor will do that, not me. This grade does not go on your GPA, but it is on your report card, so your parents or whoever's looking at that will be able to see it. They'll be able to see how you're doing at work. Please take your job seriously. And if you're going to be here for seniors, take your job seriously. But for those that are going to be here again next year, if you don't take your job seriously, if you're not serious in the classroom, sometimes that does affect what job you can get the next year. So if you have something in mind and the teacher decides, no, you've messed around, you've cheated, whatever it is, it can affect what you want to get in the future. There are a couple times during the school year where a junior history trip or senior class trip where the cafeteria is not fully covered. I will have to pull people from their regular jobs to go work there, so just keep that in mind. If you get notified of that, it's not a joke. You will need to help us out and do that. For those of you that are returning to the cafeteria, you know it's pretty easy to get your hours in. What we do is all dorm students get rotated through the cafeteria on the weekends. I make up a schedule every week and send it out to those that are on the schedule for the coming weekend. Don't ignore that, please. If you don't show up, I can still go against you as far as missing work or a write-up or something. If I do email you and you can't be here, if you're already scheduled to be going home or on a trip or something, let me know as soon as possible so I can make sure that spot can be filled. It's usually just once with this number of students. We should just have to do that once a semester, so it's not a lot. And for cafeteria workers, I rotate you in probably once during the year on a weekend. Try to keep it at that. Try to finish up here. I know some of you are probably not overly excited about your job. I understand that. We have limited number of jobs. I currently have every one of you placed in a job. Some of you that didn't have a job assignment yesterday, during the break, come see me in the back. I will give that to you. I understand not liking your job. I've had jobs I don't like. But in the future, I always realized that something I learned in that job was important for my next job. They always seem to build on each other. So take this year, learn something new, whether it's learning to be on time, doing your job well, listening, communicating, whatever it might be. Try to take this year to do that. I guarantee you will learn something, whether it's cleaning a toilet and working as a janitor, or it's working with a teacher or grounds maintenance, whatever it might be. I guarantee you're going to learn something, even if you don't realize it now. You're going to realize it someday. It could be something small, it could be something big, but just keep in mind that it's important to do your job well. Again, for those I did not have a work assignment for yesterday at registration, come see me when we have break. And I just want to mention there are a couple of you that are doing the PFE program. If you would, before or when Mr. Garapi is done with his portion, meet over in the back corner over here, and you will meet with Mrs. Salter, and she'll take you for your orientation. One other quick thing I forgot to mention. As an alternative to these, we will be offering, it's not a bracelet, it's a wristband, that you can, this one's too small for me, so I'm not gonna put it on. But it will be something you can wear. You can clock in, open doors, everything with it. It will be a separate charge that you will have to cover, but we're planning on having these available to you.
How much is it?
It's a good question. I guess it will be $25. Anyway, it will be an option for you.
Thank you, Mr. Larson. Mr. Larson loves coming up here and doing orientation, so thank you for that. Yeah, I've been trying one out for the last few days, and it's been super helpful not to pull my keys out of my pocket. I do have, like, some staff have like the little key fob, which many of you guys don't carry keys maybe, but the ID card, you get one free when you come, but if you break one or lose it, it's $5. So how many of you guys lost 3 ID cards last year? Okay. How about 4 of them? Keep your hands up if it's 4. 5 of them? Really? How about, can I get a 6? So right there, that's $30, okay? For a few of you. The convenience factor and the fact that, like, you know, GCA is not making money on these, and so when he says $25, there's maybe a couple dollars there for administrative stuff, but it's all coming from the Salto website where we buy the cards, the fobs, and now these bracelets. And so if you want one, this is, other than the, like, ladies, where there's one hair tie you're allowed to have around your wrist, right? There's one hair tie. Other than the hair tie and a watch, the only thing you're allowed to have this year would be this nice little Salto bracelet. Bracelet? What'd you call it? Wristband. That's right, wristband. Hey, it's not jewelry if it's functional, right? If it's functional. I look at the time over here on this bracelet, and I open doors with this one, so it works out really well. So, do you guys have actual questions? Okay, Jacob. I think so. Yeah, it's completely encased in rubber, like silicone or rubber, whatever. So, like, you never have to take it off, and if you're playing basketball or shower, whatever, it should be fine. Now, we'll have to work out, if you're wearing it and it stops working for some reason, we'll have to figure out the way to cover that. That'll just be a defect on the company side. But if you're going around smashing with a hammer, obviously that's bad. So, OJ, was that the same question? Okay. Any questions about, we'll talk more about this, but we don't have a lot in stock. I do have I have some giveaways here today we're going to go through soon, but one of these is going to be on the giveaways list. Actually, Mr. Larson, can I have that small one that you had? Well, I'll get it from you later, but yeah. Okay, so right now, what I'm going to have you guys do is we're going to take a quick little stretch break. We're not going to get up now. Hang on. There's too many of you to all get up all of a sudden, okay? Now, if this is your first time in the church, by the way, welcome to the sanctuary. We are using it for orientation right now, so we still want to treat it with respect and the reverence that this room deserves in this place. So we're not going to run out, we're not going to run back in, or any of that stuff. And when we started out, I went around and made sure some of you guys who are on your phones, put your phones away. That is a standard expectation at GCA. When you are in a meeting like this, Vespers, church, Sabbath school church, whatever, you do not have your phone out. Some of you dorm students will have the yonder pouches, so Sabbath school and church may not be an issue, but village students, if you're sitting, even with your parents, and you're on your phone, You can get it right up. You can get your phone taken away if you're in a meeting here in this place during one of our programs, okay? So we'll talk more about that, but just kind of thinking about this space here, I am going to dismiss you in a moment. Out in this foyer here, and to the left, we have our fellowship hall, and there's several boxes of snacks out there. And if I can get like Corbin and Raiden and you guys, any other SC officers, can you guys just beat them out there real quick? And then I've got a couple of the staff members out there too. Nathaniel, thank you. Anybody else that is here that can help, SA officers, head out there. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to dismiss you guys in little sections. But you're going to come back, so we're not leaving. I have one more kind of bigger presentation and some stuff to give away, so you're going to want to come back. But you're going to go out. You're going to go through the fellowship hall and pick up some snacks, and then you will eat them outside in the courtyard promenade area, okay? And I'm going to give you guys about 15 minutes to do this, so you're going to be back in here at 2:10. It's 1:55 right now. So there's some snacks there. The water fountains all work this year. Hallelujah. I know. We were all very dehydrated last year because nobody kept their water bottles ever. They lost them everywhere they went. Okay. So here's what I want you guys to do. If you are seated in the last 2 rows, you may get up and walk out now. So everyone else stay put. Last 2 rows can go first. Go get your snacks. And just hang out in the promenade area out there in the sidewalk. I don't know. Promenade? Is that what we call that? Sure. You can go get some snacks. If you guys can only get 2 first, 2 at a time, no more than 2. Something sweet and something salty. Was that the email from Mr. Heck? Yeah. That's a Southern guy. I sent him all of your names, and so he's like welcoming you already, but I need to like, yeah. Don't get ahead of yourself. If you are in just the 3rd row from the back, you can go. Just the 3rd row from the back. And again, we're going to be back in here at 2:10, so we still got some time. Just trying to clear everybody out of that foyer. Did you get that from Randy? Yeah. He can charge me for it if I don't care. I know this large is actually a little too large. I might need a medium, but. Oh yeah. Move on through, everybody. What's that? There's this huge bottleneck in the foyer, so it's going to take a little minute. Hey, Mr. Kelch. Mr. Kelch, can you maybe see if some SA officers can just pull some of the boxes out into the outside? We can just go straight out. We don't need to be in the fellowship hall. Let's just pull all the boxes out. Yeah, we're not eating snacks in the sanctuary. So don't bring any of the snacks or trash back in here. Keep it all outside. All right. I want the next 2 rows in the back to go ahead and go. And this time, I want you to skip the whole line in the foyer and just go straight outside because they're going to take snacks outside, okay? That'll speed things along. All right, next row can go, next back row. Row, you're, wait. All right, and as long as you guys all go straight outside, you can all go, and then if you can find some of the snacks and boxes over there, then just don't dogpile the box. Be back at 2:10. This was a small. Just keep in mind, you guys, if you're here in the sanctuary and you've gotten your snack still, please put it away, put it in a bag, save it for later because we don't want to leave a mess here in the sanctuary especially, okay? So please keep it out of sight. If you still need to, you want to take a couple more bites or whatever, do it out there instead. We're going to start here in about 3 minutes. So once again, as more of you are coming in, make sure that your snacks are away. You're not eating in the sanctuary. Thank you. Perfect. Just put it away. I was actually looking at the certain person right behind you, but I like how when I make a general announcement, Bobby thinks that I'm talking about Bobby. Yeah, just put it away. Just put it away.
$17.30.
Yeah, okay. Hey, can I get the projector back on? All right, let's have everybody come on inside. I don't know out in the foyer if you can hear me, but come on in. Come on in and have a seat. And once again, if you have snacks, please put them away. We're not eating in the sanctuary. This isn't communion. I know they're crackers.
Some of you looked like you might be interested in the fashionable black wristband. I've been texting with our, quiet. I've been texting a little bit here with our business manager, Susan Jenkins, and we'll try to get the price as low as we can. Right now, I can tell you that I think we can do them for $15, but if we can do it less, we will. So we'll keep working on it, but watch for an email about that. I don't care that you necessarily have it, but whatever it is that works for you to be able to clock in and out, that's what needs to work, because it's really important. We're not going to have, as Mr. Larson said, he's not going to go back and do that for you. You get written up every time, you lose your job. For some of you, that's the end. So everybody's got to have a way. Plus, we're going to probably at some point this year require that everybody that uses the cafeteria goes in, whether you're village or dorm, that you have to have a way to use your card or your wristband or whatever to pay for the meal. So, okay? Stay tuned for the saga of the wristband.
All right, I need, let's see, Corbin and Raiden to come up here. I know, up to the front. Did Corbin disappear? Oh, he took the trash out. Corbin! He's just in the foyer out there. No running. Yeah, we're being respectful in the sanctuary, so. All right, we're going to have my two assistants here help me out for some giveaways, okay? I'm going to have you guys each sort of pick a different student. That way it's not me picking somebody, you can. But I'd like for Corbin's going to pick a freshman, and Raiden, I want you to pick, well, actually, why don't you both pick a freshman? It could be like a girl, guy, girl, but just one of each. And so let's do that real quick here. So if you're a freshman, raise your hand, and let's see if Corbin or Raiden can, and just for reference here, we're going to be giving away a pack of Sharpies. Do it quick. Just pull the trigger. Don't worry about it. The less you think about it, the quicker it goes. All right, so if you see Raiden or Corbin pointing at you, then just come on up, okay? Come on up. All right. So before I go through mine, by the way, I think we got two people, so you can put your hands down. We're good for now. All right. Oh. Man, you guys didn't pay attention at all. That's cool. We'll get two guys next time. That's true. All right. All right. So tell me your name.
My name's Danny.
Danny and.
My name is Betsy.
Betsy. Okay. Cool. Nice to meet two freshmen. Everybody say hello to Danny and Betsy. All right. So Danny, real easy here. Can you tell me, in the short form, what our mission statement is at GCA?
To know, to love, and to serve.
Very, very good. Thank you very much. All right, Betsy, this is a little bit of a harder question, but I think you can do this. How many women were instrumental in getting GCA established here in Calhoun, Georgia? Look. Three of them. All right, three of them is correct. Can you tell me the names of one of them? Tell me the name of one of them. One of them. Are you Seventh-day Adventist?
Yes.
So the one of the three women instrumental in getting this Adventist institution.
I know her. Wait, I just don't.
Ellen is it. Ellen White. All right, thank you very much. Go have a seat, please. All right. Well, you guys go have a seat, and then I want you guys to pick 2 sophomores. Maybe 2 guy sophomores, yeah. All right, raise your hand if you're a sophomore. What? Wow. Wow. All right. Fair enough. I didn't put rules on it, so. All right, just so everyone here who's new knows who you guys are. What's your name?
Abraham Hernandez.
Okay, and we have
Van Scott.
All right. All right, Abraham, if you can tell me, what is the overarching principle that Dr. Gerard told us about how we can live in harmony here at GCA? What's the overarching principle?
To not bully.
Okay, but bullying would come underneath the overarching principle, right? What's the overarching principle? Treat
Others like the golden rule.
I don't think Dr. Gerard said anything about the golden rule. What, treat each other. Van, treat each other. They are good thoughts. They are good thoughts. Do they even get a chance? Do we? Treaty. What's the rest?
Treat others the way you want to be treated.
That's not what he said. Hang on.
Treat others with respect.
All right, you get one of these. Thank you very much. That was word for word what Dr. Gerard said. All right, glad we were listening. All right, in a room like this one, when someone is talking up front, what's your job? Oh, he beat you to it. All right, have a seat, both of you guys. Thanks for playing. All right, give me 2 juniors. How about you get a guy and you get a girl junior? Okay, go. All right, raise your hand if you're a junior. Do it quick, Corbin. Do it quick. Which one? A pack of Sharpie highlighters or a giant box of highlighters? Okay. All right, very good. All right. The nurse shared with a little bit about health protocols and so on. So, wait, you were in my class today. What's your name again?
McKenna.
McKenna, and then you tell everybody your name.
Jake.
All right, McKenna and Jake. All right, McKenna, if you are a village student or a dorm student, how do you get on sick list? Okay, if you're village, you have your parents call, and then if you're in the dorm, talk to a dean. Okay, awesome. And then you get, did you say you wanted these or the, okay, here we go. Thank you very much. And then Jake, what were the nurse's office hours? Give me just like something close. No, that's way too early. All right, what time's first period? So go back a little earlier than that. Nope. A little bit earlier than that. So 7:45 was good, and then how long is she here till? 2:30 or 2. All right, why is that important for us all to know that? That's right, you know where the nurse is and when she's here, okay? All right, that was sketchy, but I'll give that was a harder question. All right, go give me 2 seniors. Give me 2 seniors. guy and a girl. Guy and a girl. So get. Oh, is that super awkward? No. Not in your friend group. Now go. Yeah, ish. Get 2 new seniors. Yeah. All right. Raise your hand if you're a senior. Raise your hand if you're a senior.
Oh, yeah, he's a new senior.
There you go. Ah, here we go. Come on up. All right, hurry up, Corbin. Just pick one. All right, here we go. Come on, Matthew. There we go. Could I interest you in a GCA mug? Maybe. Let's see. We'll do the mugs here for a second. All right. Here's a question for you guys. I took notes during the early meeting, so I'm trying to figure out what to pick now. All right. Who are the 3 people? Sorry, I should have said, what's your name?
Lucas.
So Lucas and?
Matthew.
All right, Lucas and Matthew. You guys know Lucas and Matthew? Now you do. All right. All right, so Lucas, who are the 3 people that you should talk to if you forget to clock in or out from work?
The dean?
Maybe not the dean unless you work for the dean. So who should you talk to? You work, supervisor. And then who are the other 2 people? Who was up here earlier? Yeah, Mr. Larson. And then who's the other one? He referenced her earlier. Raise your hand, Mia. All right, there we go. So, I know he's new, so we'll give him the mug here. Good job. So the 3 people you should talk to if you don't clock in or out, work supervisor, Mr. Larson, or Mia. All right, Matthew. You want a mug too? Awesome, I'll give you a mug. Ooh, that's coming. Actually, that's later. All right. All right, maybe you can summarize, if you were paying attention to Mr. Larson's presentation, why should we take our jobs seriously? Why should we take our jobs seriously, even if we don't like them or whatever? Why should we take our jobs seriously?
Because there's people paying for us to go here. The people that are paying for us to go here, that helps them out with a lot of money. This is getting us ready for jobs in the future. Awesome. Oh, 3 points? Work ethic. Work ethic, okay. That was kind of the other one that I said. Awesome. All right.
So let me just touch up on a little bit of that as well. Remember, if you get written up, what happens if you get written up maybe 2 or 3 times for work? Yeah, you're fired. And if you get fired, you automatically get a brand new job you love, right? No. Do you automatically even get a job if you get fired? No. And then guess what happens to your financial plan or that money that we've sort of budgeted for your work? Like, you're responsible for that or your parents are, okay? So definitely don't get fired. Please clock in and out and take your job seriously. Okay. A staff member. I want you to maybe raise your hand if you have been here all 4 years. Like, this is your 4th year. So obviously we're picking seniors, but let's pick no, you guys don't get, you're not students right now. Pick 2 people who have been here a long time. Maybe let's pick one. Okay, pick one person. One person who's been here all 4 years. I kind of want to see if Bobby can answer this question. So, Bobby, come in here, Bobby. This is for the bracelet. Okay? This is for the bracelet because Bobby plays a lot of basketball, and he's probably losing his ID card all the time. If he just has it on while he's playing, then he won't lose it, right? Okay. So Bobby is going to tell us in entirety what the long mission statement is.
To capture the hearts and minds.
That's the church mission statement. That's good. I like that. That's good. But I'll give you extra credit for that one. So, how did it start? We always get the starting one. Where did it start?
To love.
But where's the long part?
Oh, that? I don't remember that.
It's written on the wall in the hallway.
So?
All right, can you tell me the church mission statement like you were about to start saying? I'll give you a mug for that. To capture
The hearts and minds of young people and develop them in the fully devoted disciples of Jesus Christ.
Man, that is great. All right, he got that one. That was good. Very, very good. If you haven't heard that one, that is what the GCA Church is all about, to capture the hearts and minds of young people and develop them into fully devoted disciples of Jesus Christ. That's why we're here on this part of campus. Oh, you think you guys, I'm not doing this one. Let's see. Let's see. Are you guys all nominating Dormus? All right, Dormus, come on. Let's. All right, Matt Dormus is going to take it to school here. Here we go.
All right, so to know Jesus as Savior and friend, to love God and those he brings into our lives, and to serve the church and society. Hey.
There we go. All right, so Matt, you just need to take that to Mr. Kelch and activate it, and it'll act like your ID card, okay? I want you guys to have a seat for a second, but don't go too far away. I'm going to walk through a little bit of my part, and so maybe you'll pay attention because there will be more quiz questions based on the information I'm about to share with you, okay? You guys with me? You with me? All right, so no nodding off or fading on me, okay? The student handbook, we didn't print this year. This is the first year, I don't know, in a very long time, it wasn't printed. If you were here before, we had one of those little spiral-bound ones that had a planner in it and had the rules in the back of it, and we urged you to look at the handbook in its paper form. I'm still going to urge you to look at it in its digital form. Do you guys know where to find it? GCA Connect. Do you know where to find it on GCA Connect? There's not a tab called Handbook, so when you are on GCA Connect, you'll click on this thing called Resources, okay? And then inside of Resources, there'll be things like the general GCA schedule, some other things that are there, and then the handbook, okay? So make sure that you're looking at it because you are held accountable to the material in this handbook. So right now, today, we're not going to go through everything, but we're going to touch some of the highlights, all right? Why do we have rules? Well, we need rules and guidelines to be followed in order for individuals to remain at this institution, and students involved in any activities not permitted by GCA will be subject to discipline by fines, suspension, or dismissal, okay? This ends up being areas that are not fun to talk about, but it's important we're all on the same page. That people don't do things and say, well, I didn't know. I didn't know that wasn't allowed. So obviously we want to kind of keep a positive atmosphere while we're here, but some of that stuff can't exist if we don't know where I'm allowed to go, what I'm allowed to do, and all that, okay? Now, in the handbook, there is a small section in the beginning of the handbook part. It outlines about 5 or so things that you could do or participate in that would just immediately get you dismissed from GCA, okay? But you need to be familiar with that list that's sitting there on page 156 in the printed version. I'm sorry, not the printed, on the online version. The paging all kind of still stayed there as if it was printed, but it's digital. The first 4 or 5 things in there involve things like drugs and alcohol, being in the wrong dorm, that you don't belong in, and a bunch of other things like that that are really important that you pay attention to. We are a zero tolerance campus when it comes to drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, and vaping. Any paraphernalia related to those things is part of that category of zero tolerance. If you have a vape pen, goodbye. Okay? So anything that is associated with those items are just not allowed here on campus. So I ask you, if you have those things or you have access to those things, do not bring them to campus ever. Okay? We do reserve the right to drug test, and I'll talk about that in a little bit here, but the list of other things that are on there that involve things like other disciplines, suspension, stuff like that is a much longer list, and there are things that we'll need to kind of go through and talk about, but I don't want to sit here and rattle them all off, but you need to look at them and be familiar with them. Wrong place, wrong time, those kinds of things are important for you to be aware of, okay? So let's talk about attendance. Who knows what our attendance policy is? Irvin, what's our attendance policy? You don't get to miss class.
But you have one unexcused absence, and then it's fine. And then there's the points thing, like Bobby was saying. If you're late, you get points. If you get a certain amount of points, you get fined.
Very good. Now, we have two new staff members that were introduced to you last night that are going to help us track attendance. Okay, so we have a point system, and as Irvin was saying, you must attend classes. You're not allowed to skip. Village student parents can't just say, Precious fell asleep and didn't wake up in time. Please excuse first period. We don't do that, okay? Now, if you are going to be sick for that day or that period, then you're out for the day and you can call a sick list in. But, if you're late, then own up to being late. If you can't miss chapels, you can't miss those kind of things unless we have a doctor's note from an actual orthodontist appointment or a doctor's appointment or whatever, okay? So you start with 10 points. All right, so at some point we're going to give away some more stuff here, so pay attention to this part. 10 points, right, for attendance. You get 1 point subtracted if you are tardy to anything. You get 3 points, I'm skipping, 3 points if you are absent to chapel or work. Sometimes we put that into the attendance thing. And then you miss 5 points for an unexcused absence to a class, okay? So you're allowed 10. You subtract 5 for an absence. So how many classes can you miss? 2. But even if you miss 2, what happens? You get whatever the penalty is, right? So once you miss that second one, you already got 10 points, and you're already at that first level. We're going to talk about that here. All right, so level 1 is if you lose all 10 points, you have to pay a $25 fine, and then you'll get back 5 more points. Okay, so basically we're saying don't miss one more, right? How many classes do you typically have in a day? Yeah, like 3 or 4, maybe sometimes 5 if you have a really heavy schedule on a kind of lopsided day. What happens if you miss that whole day then? Yeah, you've already jumped to level 2. If you lose 5 more points, then you pay a $50 fine on top of the $25 fine that you had in the previous level. All right, so it's a good quiz question. $25 fine for the first level, $50 fine for the second level. And at that point, you are suspended from school for a day, and you could be placed on citizenship probation, okay? And then if you keep racking up more attendance points, then you could end up being asked to leave GCA, okay? Do you have a question in the back? I'm going to get to that, but that's a great question. I think that's coming up on the boards here in just a second, but I'll definitely come back. If I don't, remind me again, okay? All right, we talked about sick lists a little bit. Last year, because of COVID, we started 2-tier levels of sick list, level 1 and level 2. Level 1 just meant that you were on quarantine or you had some symptoms, but you were well enough to participate online in your classes. but you're probably doing that in your dorm room or at home or whatever so that you can actually join in. Last year we were using Zoom, and this year we're on Microsoft Teams. And so if you're not sure how to get onto your class, Microsoft Teams, make sure you talk to your teacher, but they should have a GCI Connect bulletin board page that would have a link or some information to Teams. But also if you open and log into Teams, you should have all of your classes there within Teams, which is one of the programs or applications in your computer. It's a Microsoft product, okay? But basically, if you have a low fever, last year we checked temperatures every day. We're not doing that today, every day this year, but monitor yourself. Don't come to class when you're not feeling well. If you are coughing or having a runny nose, like the nurse said, put a mask on, go talk to the dean, and then see if you can get put on sick list. And if you have been exposed to COVID, maybe you don't have any symptoms, but you've been exposed to COVID, you're going to be quarantining unless you've been vaccinated, okay? Level 2 is really like, you know, you're vomiting, you're super feverish, you just can't participate at all, and so you'll talk to your teacher about making up that work later. And you can have somebody, your parents or a dean, communicate that to the nurse for you. All right, any questions about that? Yeah. I've been vaccinated. I'm fine. I'm just spreading it all to you. No. I have a dry throat. I'm talking for a long time. I need some water, I think, so. All right. Any questions about sick list? All right. We talked about this a minute ago. We are still in a pandemic. We haven't completely resolved this, and we're still in the midst of it. So it's still important for us to physical distance when possible. I don't have a mask on right now, but I'm trying to be in the habit of carrying one around in case I'm in a kind of a bigger crowd or in a crowded room. Try to have it with me. And there's nothing wrong with having it with you and keeping it on. Last year, I don't think I ever got COVID, but I also never got sick from any other kind of cold or flu throughout the year because I was staying masked in a place like this. Most years, as a teacher, in the first few weeks, just being around a lot of people and all the germs, I would just get kind of a sore throat or I'd get a cold, and sometimes later into the fall, I get the flu. I never got that last year because I was in a mask all year long. And so that's just kind of reminding me to just be more vigilant about my own health in a large crowd like this, okay? And as Dr. Gerard said, the COVID vaccine has been shown to significantly reduce symptoms if you get COVID or just keep people from contracting the virus in the first place, okay? So get the vaccine. And as he said before, we are also keeping an eye on the situation locally, and we will make changes as needed, okay? All right, how are we doing? Everybody doing okay? So we don't have the printed bulletin handbook thing here, but I do have a planner. It's actually a nice like suede cover thing here. Thank you. What's your name?
Emma.
All right, this is Emma right here. Emma's going to tell us the attendance point system and the 3 different ways you can lose points, okay? So how many points do you get for attendance?
10.
All right, 10, does that sound right? 10 points. How many points for tardies?
2. 1.
1 point for a tardy. How about for missing an entire class?
5.
5 for missing a class. And then for missing like chapel or prayer circles or work, how much? 3 points. Here you go, as your monthly planner. Congratulations. All right, cell phones. We all have them at this point. Years ago, we used to have really tight restrictions on where cell phones could be. They've become just so much more part of daily life. Do you guys ever get on your phone and have it give you the weekly report of how much screen time you've had? It's sometimes really depressing when I realize how much time I spent in a day on my stupid phone. But like, again, it's part of my life. I'm on it. It's a way for me to sort of disconnect a little bit from the stresses of my life or whatever. I'm on a game or whatever, okay? So I get it. But we do need to have some restrictions, some discipline when it comes to phones here on campus, okay? And in fact, some urging a little bit as well. There's a whole lot of studies out there that talk about social media and the links between social media and teenage depression and anxiety, okay? We're really more kind of keen to the way COVID has affected mental health and emotional health with all the lockdowns and being away from friends and how important, like how much that impacted us. And being on social media just sort of exacerbated a lot of that. So even though we're not shutting it all down, I would just say, come to rec. Put your phones away for a little while. You know, play in the beach, the sand volleyball pit for a while. Walk around the track with each other and talk. Life is way, way better when you can sort of disconnect from your phone for a little while and connect with people around you. That's one of the reasons why you're here in a boarding school, to connect with each other. You're not going to graduate and go, man, when I look back, it was so awesome how much time I spent on my phone. No one's going to do that. Okay, you're not going to come back to alumni and think about those things. You're going to think about the times that you spent together with your friends. And it's hard to be with your friends when you're just staring at your phone all the time, okay? And I have to remind myself of that same thing. So there's just some things we need to think about. But cell phones need to be quiet. They need to be put away during classes or other meetings. We are not to see them in classrooms, in the library. We say hallways, but there's a little bit of a gray area there. It's sort of fading recently, but during assemblies, chapels, Sabbath meetings, and then, of course, in the dorms after lights out. So the RAs and the deans have a process, you know, by which you put your phones in your yonder pouches, and then they're done for the night. When we started the yonder pouches, by the way, I know it's a little frustrating. You don't have the freedom all the time, but we have had students thank us for helping enforce some discipline in their lives. They were up till 3 or 4 in the morning watching the next series, the season of whatever, and just struggling to stay awake the next day in classes. Grades would fall. Yonder pouches just made it so that, okay, I have to at least go to sleep at 11 or 11:30 and just stay disciplined, okay? You will have your phones confiscated by the teacher if they're out when they're not supposed to be. Ask the teacher. If you can take a picture of the notes thing, or if you need to check something, just ask. They'll tell you yes or no. I had somebody trying to log into WebAssign today, and their computer wasn't working. So they got on their phone. They asked me, and I said it was fine. So just talk to your teacher. Pretty reasonable most of the time. So just don't assume or try to hide it. We do allow phones in the Student Center and the Wally Fox Wellness Center. But we ask, we didn't enforce a lot of this because it was such a free-flowing kind of feeling in the cafeteria, but we are banning headphones inside the cafeteria. When you walk into that space, it is a social space, okay? We want you to interact with the people at the table and not plug in on your headphones, all right? If I see earbuds in your ear or headphones around your neck in the cafeteria, okay, they will belong to me for a long time. In the cafeteria. Now, if you're going through and taking something to go, put your headphones away, get your food, get it to go, get your headphones back out again. But in the cafeteria, I want you to consider it sacred space. We're interacting with each other. If a staff member needs to talk to you or somebody wants to ask you a question, you're not plugged in and disconnected from reality, okay? So no headphones in the cafeteria. All right. Cell phones capable of accessing the internet must have filters in place and operating. All right. We've said that to your parents. That's your parents' responsibility, but there's a lot of stuff out there that you really have no business accessing on your phones. And then cell phones will be confiscated if used to break any school policies. So Mr. Kelch will talk about that tomorrow. But hotspotting is not allowed. Don't hotspot with your laptops. You know, don't jump on your cell phone Wi-Fi to try to get around our GCA Wi-Fi. What was the other thing? Okay, good. So we started at the end of last school year allowing students to join the GCA Wi-Fi on their phones. And that's still available now. You can use it for Wi-Fi calling, because you know the service here is wonderful. So you can use Wi-Fi calling to help boost your cell service. You can use the Wi-Fi on your phone to have better access to surfing the internet when you're looking for stuff. There are limitations, though, on the GCA Wi-Fi when it comes to social media and streaming. So if you're wondering why it's not working, it's just not available on Wi-Fi. It's to help you if you need to text your parents, call your parents, or look up stuff online for something that you might be needing for a class. That's kind of the same way the laptops are used for. So use it that way. But yeah, the VPNs pop up on our system, so don't try to get around it. You get written up, and you will have some discipline happen pretty fast when you try to bypass that stuff, okay? So don't try to hide behind a system. Don't try to create a hotspot. You can use the GCA Wi-Fi. It makes life a lot easier with our signal around here. But wait till you go home to do get on social media or go off campus or use your own. If you have some cell service here, you can do that. We're not going to take that away. But all right, I didn't animate this one, but cheating. This is such a tempting aspect of being in school, and I fell victim to this many, many times in school, so I relate. So I hope you understand that the teachers are here to help you be good students, be able to come up with ways to be successful in future academics. We're trying to get you ready for college. This is a college prep environment. So trying to get you ready for that, but cheating doesn't help you. It may feel like a shortcut now, but it hurts you in the long run. All right, so cheating is a form of dishonesty. It's not tolerated. Cheating may include, but not limited to, copying homework or allowing your homework to be copied. All right, using notes of any kind during quizzes or tests if the teacher says you're not allowed to. So if you're trying to hide notes or whatever, that's not allowed. Communicating with another student through any means during quizzes and tests, so no talking or no texting or whatever. Claiming papers from another student that are your own, and then plagiarizing any printed material. Sometimes students may claim ignorance. Well, I didn't know. If you are copying things down from someone else, it is cheating. If your teacher is encouraging group work, always check with your teacher that what you're doing there is okay with that teacher. Hey, we're doing this one thing together. We're using the same answers. Is that okay? It's okay. Then you're good. But you make assumptions or you claim that you thought it was okay, that doesn't count. All right? Do your own work on your own papers. Anybody, before I even put up the next slide, what are the consequences? There's 3 levels. Maybe I'll do I don't know. I got this marker board schedule thing for the week here. Anybody interested in a marker board schedule? Andrew, you're interested in this? How about a GCA t-shirt? All right. Andrew's going for a GCA t-shirt. So what are the 3 levels of consequences for cheating?
Is it a write-up in 24 hours? You keep the phone for 24 hours? You're talking about, cheating. Sorry. So you get a write-up, and you get a 0 on the assignment. Okay. First level. And then second level is you get another write-up, and then you're suspended for... Suspended. And then third offense is expulsion.
If this one doesn't fit you, I'll get you a different size, okay? All right, you guys heard that. 3 levels. Hopefully, most of the time, that first level hits and you are apologetic and doesn't happen again. So usually the teacher will confront you and talk about the situation. You'll get a 0 on that assignment. It really, really hurts when you get a 0 on a test or a 0 on a final exam. That's happened. So please stay away from those. You'll end up having to talk to me or Dr. Gerard, where we make sure you understand if it happens again, then you could be suspended. If it happens again, then you could be asked to withdraw from GCA, okay? As Andrew said. All right. Dress code. Let's talk about that for a second. Everyone's favorite topic. I don't think I have enough information for every single aspect of the dress code, but we'll talk a little bit about uniforms. Everyone bought an entire set, a full wardrobe of GCA uniforms, right, from a Land's End, right? Unfortunately, I know Land's End got backed up because of a lot of other schools and people ordering uniforms. And so some of you guys don't have a full wardrobe or even any pieces at all, okay? But let me talk about that first. Whenever it does come, we give grace here for the first week or two, and then we need to kind of talk about what we do from that point on if you still don't have a uniform. But you must wear a uniform in classes. You must wear a uniform in the classroom buildings. I want to catch that again because sometimes people are like, I'm not in class, I'm just passing through. If you are up in the classroom building area, from the student center up into the library, into all of the classrooms from the science building throughout, the music building, the chapel, that whole area, this upper campus area, you're in uniform from 8 o'clock until 4:55, which is the last period, last bell, okay? You're in uniform. Now, there are a couple of exceptions based on where you work, and if you are helping in different areas like grounds maintenance or janitorial, if you come through, that's an exception. But otherwise, you're in uniform. In the library, the ad building, and then if you are in the cafeteria during lunch, you have to be in uniform, okay? So sometimes people want to go work out, and they're in a tank top and shorts, and they want to come into the cafeteria for lunch. You have to go back and change, then you can come back to the caf for lunch, okay? So lunch is a uniform required location. Clothing worn to church. You have to keep your church clothes on when you go to lunch in the cafeteria on Sabbath, okay? Everyone's favorite, outerwear. All outerwear worn in class must be uniform approved outerwear. We're not really thinking about outerwear right now. It's too hot outside for that. But you have to be wearing, when it gets colder outside, we have long sleeve polo options on Land's End. We've got some fleece jackets. We've got some crew neck sweatshirts. And we've got some actual coats that are available. So a lot of options if you want to sit in the classroom and be in uniform. Now, some of you guys have your own hoodies and your own jackets. That's fine when you're out and about, but when you come into the building and into the classroom, you have to take those off, all right? And then the teachers will, at first maybe give you a reminder, but you need to be back in uniform fully when class starts. And multiple write-ups will result in discipline in this area. Hey, jewelry. I put this in especially because of our new option for this year. But yeah, jewelry is not part of the GCA dress code. There are only 3 exceptions, okay? 3 exceptions, so this is a nice quiz question for later. The one kind of major one is that if you have a legitimate medical information, kind of a bracelet or necklace that has some kind of allergy information on it or medical need, in case something happens, obviously we want you to wear that to communicate to a paramedic or an EMT that you need this or are allergic to that. Does that make sense? And as I said before, we have allowed the ladies to have one hair tie in case they need to put their hair up when they're doing some sports, whatever, and they need to move around. So one hair tie is allowed. And then now we've added this Salto, not bracelet, right? It's a wristband. So Salto bracelet. All right, so those are the only exceptions. So necklaces, earrings, and all that kind of stuff. I want to make sure on all dress code related things. This is a personal thing. This is not like you are a bad person if you wear jewelry, but if you are here in school, we don't allow that as part of our dress code. Okay, so keep it off the campus. Somebody have a question? Absolutely. If your hair warrants a hair tie, then that's fine. So. If I have a hair tie around my wrist, I'd be wondering why I don't need a hair tie. So it just depends. I'd have to see you put your hair up, and it looks like a legitimate reason, okay? But yeah, good point. Thank you. All right. There were a few changes to the dress code that we haven't had a chance to really address to the group. You guys remember Chandler? Chandler Dempsey? All right. Yeah. And then raise your hand if you were on Student Senate last year. Raise your hand if you were on the Senate last year. We have a few people, 3, nobody? We had more than 3 people. 4, okay, good. 5, 6, 7, awesome. So right at the end of the school year, the Senate actually pushed through several changes to the dress code, and the staff voted basically all of them through. I don't know if you know what that means, because some people, you guys are not sure what that means yet, but if you were on Senate, they were basically all approved. There's one small exception, but that wasn't necessarily any bad reason. But let me talk about those. First of all, socks. They're cheering for socks, Dr. Gerard. All right. You are allowed to wear cute socks. I know. Even you can wear cute socks. I know it seems like a weird thing, but a few years ago, we had a really kind of a sort of a frumpy, lazy dress code uniform, and we sort of tightened up on it. And with that sort of tightening up, we made socks a stricter, regulated kind of dress code. It was solid colors only, no logo, no pictures except for maybe one little logo, and that was it. We all understand that was, I don't know, a lot. So you're in a uniform, you have this sort of look, but if you want to express yourself in a unique way, you can now do that with your socks. All right, congratulations. Pattern socks, cute socks. But obviously, content-wise, we have to be careful with what's on the socks. That's one of the reasons why we went away from all the pattern stuff. So, a word of caution. If a lot of inappropriate content starts showing up on socks, we'll just go back to the way it was last year, okay? So, a couple of you here can ruin it for all 300 of you. So, you can help each other out. That doesn't mean that we're going to be excessive on this, but I'm talking about blatantly inappropriate material that's easy to identify, all right? Most of the time, though, some of the questionable things will just be probably just a conversation and say, hey, you probably shouldn't wear those, and then nothing will come of it, okay? All right. Another thing that was added, you guys probably saw the staff in burgundy shirts through registration, and some of you ordered some of the burgundy shirts. Red is still allowed, but it's no longer bills in different grays, and it was weird. But burgundy was added. This is a big one. This is a big one, and you can blame Pastor David Smith for this one. If you see him, or thank him, either way, however you want to think of it. So, here's the rule when it comes to guys and ties. First of all, at Vespers, do guys have to wear ties? Have we had to wear ties in the last few years for Vespers? No. Vespers attire is a general kind of a collared shirt, a button down, some slacks, and not tennis shoes, okay? It's like business casual. It's kind of a dressed up, but it's basically the uniform, essentially, maybe without maybe tennis shoes, okay? That's the Vespers attire look. For church, though, it is different. We've said to gentlemen that you were to wear a button-up shirt, not a polo shirt, and have a tie at church. Ladies, there's a whole section for you as well with dress length and slacks options and all that kind of stuff. But for the guys, ties are still required for church unless, okay, so I want to hear that, all right? So I want you to hear me say, ties are still required for church. You guys hear me say that? Ties are still required for church unless, who remembers the unless from Senate last year? What was the exception? If you're wearing a blazer jacket or a suit jacket, and then you don't have to wear a tie, okay? So if you have a nice suit, on, button-up shirt, you don't have to wear a tie because the suit is a nice look without the tie, okay? If you have khaki pants and a nice, like a navy blue blazer, right, with a nice shirt on, you don't have to wear a tie. That's kind of that look. And then a little asterisk under that was, it has been a little bit of a look the last couple of years that guys like to wear the turtleneck under the blazer or the suit. And that's okay for the nice high-collared turtleneck, all right? But otherwise, ties are required for church. that make sense? Village students, ties are required for church. Village students. I'm gonna get a whole bunch of ugly ties from Goodwill, and they're gonna be in the back waiting for you. But ties are required for church. But I came in with my mom. Ties are required for church, unless you have a jacket, a nice suit jacket or blazer. But I've got this GCA Land's End jacket. No, that's not a nice blazer or suit coat, okay? Somebody had a question in the back. No? I'm sorry? Okay. All right. The one new thing here we talked about last year. We have had a kind of a running rule when it comes to shorts length at rec. Obviously, this often refers to the ladies, but even guys roll up their shorts and get really short. Way too much leg, Irvin. Way too much leg. All right? We don't need that. Okay. Wait, who was it last year that was? It was Chris. Yeah. Way too much rolling up. All right. And Zabdi. Did Zabby say Zabdi just now? Did you just say your own name? I think you did. Everybody look at me? No, never mind. All right. So rather than doing all this like fingertip, like measurement, stuff like that, none of us wants to do that. But at the same time, you guys know I'm talking about the running shorts can be really loose. Even though they're short, they can be really loose. And if you're sitting on the bleachers or squatting down, like it's kind of awkward. Like the running shorts can just disappear, right? So I know it's super awkward. It's awkward for all of us that are having to sort of police this too. So the only exception that we've asked, especially if you're coming out of gymnastics or volleyball, or if you're at rec, you're running around with the running shorts, is that you have some kind of a spandex short underneath it. Okay? So that's already kind of a rule in gymnastics, I think, but we're sort of continuing on throughout the campus. So it just helps out when, like, if some of the female staff come and talk to some of the ladies, that there's no question maybe of length as much as it is, as long as there is a spandex short underneath the running shorts, then it's a lot more modest and more kosher for us to have to deal with that, okay? So if you have any questions on that, obviously you can come see one of us or one of the deans, and we can help kind of clarify that. So, all right, so those are the changes. I actually asked Chandler if he wanted to FaceTime in with us during this time. He wanted to, but he was at work. So I could have had him like FaceTime in and tell us all about these changes and sort of like brag on him a little bit and the last year's Senate, because again, we did at the very end, and then they left, and he didn't really hear about what the changes were. So it was pretty cool. That I will say this: if you're a village rep, boys or girls dorm rep, you have a lot of kind of power in making rules change for the campus. And so if there's something that you don't like or you complain about, talk to your Senate officers. That's who they are, and they can make changes within this campus and the handbook, as you can see they did this past year. I said before, drug testing is something that we can pull. We've done it over the last several years. We do 1 time a year, 2 times a year. We do a random sampling of about 10% of the student body. We just pull randomly through the database, and then we have somebody come and take little hair clippings and send it off to the lab to get tested. It's just a nice way of basically giving you an out. If you go home for home leave, or you have friends who want you to experiment, you can always just blame me, blame Dr. Gerard, and just say, hey, my school can do random drug testing, and I don't want to even take that risk, okay? Because, again, zero tolerance when it comes to drugs and alcohol, all right? Yeah, so if you test positive, you will be required to withdraw from school. You'll be like, it was home leave. Yeah, sorry. All right. Social. I was going to say, raise your hand if you... No, I shouldn't do that. All right, social conduct. We are a hands-off campus, okay? I want you guys to hear that. We are a hands-off campus. That comes to, obviously, holding hands, putting hands on someone else, and then, of course, even fighting is kind of associated with our hands-off campus, all right? So we take that seriously. We ask that you guys keep hands off each other in an effort to keep everyone safe, all right? We are almost done, so we'll wrap this up here. Dorms of the opposite sex are always off limits. Unless the deans give you permission. Sometimes they have a prayer circle that meets in their lobby or in their apartment or whatever. If you're in maintenance, you have permission to come through a certain way to take care of some stuff in the dorms, all right? Wrong place, wrong time. This is a very large campus, and it seems to be growing with all the things we keep adding in. If you are in a space, let's say you're even in the sanctuary here, and there's no adults here, and it's just you and one other person, you are in the wrong place at the wrong time, all right? If I walk in, if a staff member walks into a room and there's two people just awkwardly, just in a space all by themselves, you will be placed on social. On social. That usually means you are not allowed to talk to each other, to interact with each other, to be around each other for a certain amount of time that ad council decides if you're placed on social. And not just for the wrong place, wrong time, any level of inappropriate social activity. And we call it social restrictions is the big term. We just say you're on social, okay? Sometimes that information will come from one of the administrators. It could come from a dean to let you know. And then while on social, if you have interaction with that person you're on social with, you could be suspended or just sent home permanently, okay? All right, we are wrapping up here. We talked about suspensions. All right, so here's what that citizenship probation was, okay? Elijah was asking about that earlier. Citizenship probation is basically a status level you could put on if you're suspended that removes you from all touring organizations and sports, all of them. We have 300 students here. 12 students can be on the varsity team, whatever, basketball or volleyball or whatever, right? So if you want to hold your spot, you are held to a certain standard to be in that organization. If you want to stay in praise band, if you want to stay in camerata, you're held to a standard to stay in those organizations, okay? If you break the rules excessively, if you're written up a bunch of times or whatever, you will be suspended and placed on probation, and while on probation, you are no longer a part of any of those organizations. The ones that travel, the ones that everybody wants to be a part of, that's fun to be a part of, okay? Now, if you come off probation after about a semester maybe, if you've had, you've shown a good track record, that doesn't automatically mean you're back onto that sport or that team. You regain eligibility, and you can go talk to that coach or that teacher and say, could I audition again, or do you have an opening? And maybe they'll let you back in again, but there's no guarantees. Once you're out, you have to kind of work to get back in again, all right? The same thing comes with academic probation. And this is really important that we talk about this maybe kind of as we wrap up here. We want you to pass your classes. We want you to be passing your classes even throughout the year. You might think, I'll not do some stuff for a while, and then I'll do it later, right? And go into the F range, and then dig myself out later on in the semester. And that's a really bad strategy. It's really stressful later when you're trying to dig yourself out of that hole. So don't be in the process of failing your class. Be passing your classes. It's way easier life when you're here at GCA. And I'll tell you, most of people who are failing classes is not because they lack the ability. All of you can pass the classes you're in. It's all about laziness, time management, procrastination, all those things that develop bad habits, okay? The first midterm is 4.5 weeks away. So we take a snapshot of your grade book in your classes. That snapshot of your grade goes into your report card. And if you have 2 Fs or 3 Fs at the first midterm, you're placed on non-critical academic probation, which is sort of a holding place. It's kind of like a warning, red light, right? Like, don't get any more. But at the quarter, which is 9 weeks in, if you have 2 Fs or 1 F after having had an F in the midterm, now you're on critical academic probation. And now you're off any touring organizations. You're off any sports. It's because we're mean, right? That's right. Sometimes it seems that way, but we want you to what? Pass your classes. Is your grade in the end of September, is that a permanent grade? Is the grade in October a permanent grade? No. It can be printed on your report card, but when is it a permanent grade? In December, at the end of the semester. And we want you to be passing and be able to pass in December. And then at the end of May, it's a permanent grade. We want you to be passing then too. So don't get on academic probation. Now, I think last year we had some people petition. We had our sports coaches committee vote a way for you to get back into sports if you, let's see. You can earn back eligibility if you get a couple Fs, like say at the quarter, and the next grading period you got all C minuses or better, then you've earned back eligibility. That means you can go back to your coach and say, hey, do you have a spot? Can I retry out? Can I be back in? And they can let you back in. But if you got Fs, you're out. If you got all C minuses or better, you're back in. And then you got Fs again, now you're out for good. There's no clawing your way back in after that, okay? Does that make sense? So we don't flip-flop all year long. Imagine if you're in gymnastics, imagine if one person is trying to go in and out and in and out, in and out. How does that work for the dynamic of the team? Yeah, it doesn't work, okay? So we are giving you an opportunity to get back in at least once, but that's it, okay? All right, so some of this information I'm going to ask at the beginning of tomorrow's orientation. I do have some more things here, and then I'm going to get another of the Salto bracelets for tomorrow, and I'm going to have some more stuff I'm going to give away. If you want to download and open up the handbook, I'm going to pull out a couple of questions from there that I didn't even talk about today. I'm going to ask some of those things as well, okay? But we are done here. Before you get up and go, thank you for your patience. I hope that this process was better than just sitting through stuff without some interaction, but obviously we're always looking for ways to improve. Now stop. You're standing up. Shh. All right. I have Mr. Larson in the back here. If you don't know who your work supervisor is, see Mr. Larson. Where are the PFE? Also back here? Assist. Okay, back there. And then if you don't know where your work supervisor is, like what office there is, you can come see me and I'll help with that. Don't bog Mr. Larson down. I'll be right here. Thank you very much. You're dismissed. I'll see you tomorrow at 1:15 right here again. Have a great rest of the day.